Hi, I'm Patrick. Liv is filming. This is Eric from Ford, but this is the Mach-E vlog, and we are going to take a drive in BlueCruise 1.3, the first time that I've gotten to try it out. So let's go.
Yeah, so going from 1.0 to 1.2, we introduced two major features. The first is assisted lane change.
Yep.
The second is in-lane repositioning. And both of these features were really implemented based on customer feedback. We're really looking to give people time back in their lives, right? I mean, that's the value proposition of BlueCruise. And we look at our data and we say, well, what are the biggest reasons why people are re-engaging with the steering wheel? And one of the major reasons for BlueCruise 1.0 was to make a lane change.
Yeah, going up to LA, like I can stay in BlueCruise the whole way up, but as traffic gets in my way, I'm not constantly, but quite often have to touch the steering wheel to do the lane changes. Mm-hmm. And this is sort of great. We get to test some like slow traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that BlueCruise 1.2 added was, with our internal testing, we saw that we're able to stay in hands-free mode about 3 times longer than from BlueCruise 1.0. And BlueCruise 1.3 in our internal testing shows that people can stay in hands-free driving for about 5 times as long. So that's a big deal because, our goal is we want to continue to have extended hands-free driving for as long as possible.
Right.
And really reduce the amount of what we call our hands-free disconnects.
Right.
Which basically are instances where, you need to put your hands back on the wheel.
And I'm putting it on the wheel to increase my speed, so I'm flowing with traffic. Now, is some of that due to literal software improvements with the car, or is it it feels better and smoother, so then people are doing less disengagements on their own?
Yeah, so it's a combination, but I mean, for the most part, what we're doing is we're looking at conditions that exist where the system may have lost confidence and prompted you to get your hands back on the wheel. And we've been able to look at those situations and update our software such that the system does have confidence to be able to drive in those scenarios in hands-free mode. And an example of that would be with BlueCruise 1.3, where previously we saw in narrow lane conditions, the system would require you to in some cases, put your hands back on the wheel. And we've been able to update the software such that in those scenarios, it'll stay in hands-free mode. Same with curves. So it'll not just take a curve more comfortably, but it'll also stay in extended hands-free mode longer in curves.
And this has been excellent so far. No ping-ponging. We haven't had a big car to make us scooch over yet. But it's been very smooth. I haven't needed to touch it other than I adjusted my speed.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy you like it. And, again, really the goal is we want to be able to give people time back.
They worried me more than the car. Yeah, and for me, when I tried out 1.2 for the first time, like in-lane repositioning is a feature that you wouldn't necessarily think is a huge differentiator, but it made it so much more comfortable, and there were I didn't feel like I needed to worry about it as much. And and I sort of say I can give you my feedback as the driver, but it's almost like the passenger test. So when Liv, she's filming right now, but when she's squinches up because we're next to a big truck, it I can see that she doesn't like the feel of it, but now when it shifts over, it makes it feel much smoother and much more natural.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and really what we're the system is based on a collaborative approach to hands-free driving. So we want the systems to sort of be an extension of you as the driver, right?
Right.
Obviously paying attention at all times, keeping your eyes on the road.
And we'll do a lane change, tap the signal.
There we go.
It looked. And that lane change, like what impresses me so much is it's a smooth lane change. It's not abrupt. I've tested it on curves, and it just does an excellent thing. And it seems like curves would be a hard time to do a lane change, but it seems to do it very well.
Right, and the front-facing camera is looking at those lane lines, and this is also a challenging time of day, right? With the glare coming down.
Yeah.
And the system's performing really well.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that because I know with 1.0, there's times when the sun like this would cause it to cancel, reactivate, but we haven't had a single cancellation.
And that's really the big difference for 1.3. Again, going from 1.0 to 1.3, we see 5 times longer hands-free capability versus situations where previously you may have to get your hands back on the wheel and then be able to come back again.
And we just had an exit ramp. Of course, there's a little bit of a dash line, but it didn't deviate at all. Rock steady. Now, one of the things that I know a lot of people miss is what it does to in-lane repositioning. And keep watching, it shows it in the display.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's like I think that's something that's overlooked by some reviewers. I think it's I think Ford's done a great job with the feedback to me as the driver, and also it has the left and right arrow showing like there is a lane change available, so I can tap it. It's slowing down. This is actually an interesting scenario. We started doing the lane change and they were hitting the brakes, and the car did a great job of sort of like, I need to fit in behind them. So that was really good.
Yeah, and it'll actually also let you know, so if you're driving behind a vehicle that is going slower than your desired set speed,
right,
and there's an open lane change opportunity, it'll actually let you know.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then I was sort of hoping to have somebody block me so I can't make a lane change, because it'll tell you when it's not available as well. And actually it's saying I can't do the lane change now, that the arrows disappeared.
That's right.
And then it came back.
Yeah.
So even though it's like that's a BlueCruise section, it's in the curve, it's making the decision, now's not a good time to do a lane change.
Yeah, I mean, it's real-time evaluating when the situation is right to be able to safely make a lane change.
And this is one of the things, and we've reviewed a lot of ADAS systems.
Uh-huh.
I love how Ford makes it collaborative, like you said. I finished my lane change, it knows that I was in BlueCruise, and it automatically assumes, like, let's go back into BlueCruise immediately. And it's very smooth. And another difference that I've seen from 1.0 to this is that before, like, it would re-engage, and if I wasn't exactly in the center, it'd be like, let's put you right in the center. Now it's like, okay, I'm re-engaging, and now we're centered. So it feels like there's been little refinements like that too. Is that?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. I mean, we're looking at every opportunity to continue to improve the overall experience. Again, with the principles of, trying to maximize the amount of time that people can drive, hands-free when safe to do so. And really having the system be a collaboration with the driver, such that, if you're in a scenario where you're in hands-free mode and, you want to make a maneuver, you can do that. And the system is going to sort of gradually get back, into a hands-free driving when the situation is right. It's not going to cancel you out and have you go through additional steps to now get back into hands-free driving. It's just going to do that. It's going to recognize that you're going to make the maneuver. You're going to make you're in control at all times. And then it's going to get back into hands-free mode when the conditions are right.
Has the speed limit adjustment in here.
Yep.
Which I disable sometimes, and I turn it on sometimes. So there it saw a 55 mile per hour speed limit sign and adjusted accordingly. Which that's a personal preference. You can have it set for a little bit over.
It's a setting that you can adjust according to your comfort. Absolutely.
trying to go with the flow of traffic. There's a lot of traffic catching up to us.
And there's a stretch of road up here I'm going to point out to you as well that I think is a really nice demonstration of BlueCruise 1.3 capability, which is where if you're in the right lane and the lane marking disappears, it'll stay in hands-free mode. It's not going to cancel out. It's not going to kind of veer. The system now has the confidence based on our software improvements to know that if a lane line temporarily sort of disappears, but it still can maintain confidence in that lane being there, then it's going to allow you to continue to drive hands-free. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's some construction out where we're at in LA, and like the lane markings will do that, and it does that. Cancel. Okay, I see it. It's re-engaged. Then it cancels again and re-engages. Yeah. So I'm excited to try that out.
Yeah.
And stuff like this, I'm going to just let it go. My foot's ready in case. And it sees the car. It's slowing down accordingly.
It's nice and easy too, right? It didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't jerk. It's just a nice kind of easy, slow. Ultimately, though, what BlueCruise is doing is it's just making decisions about what's happening around you, what's happening in front of you, and how do you want to be driving when in hands-free, right? So,
just like the following distance, we can adjust that.
Exactly.
They had it at 4. I like it at 2, so I adjusted that quickly.
That's exactly right.
And this is what sort of, to me, the impressive part is like when it becomes something like I'm still 100% paying attention. If I put my hands up here too long, it's going to yell at me. But it feels natural. And I think this is sort of like the key. And I know Jim Farley has mentioned that. It's like the goal isn't to make a car that can handle these curves. I'm going to get out of their way.
That's where the GT's good.
Yeah.
Right there.
And it did cancel on me there. And I think that's because I was giving it too much input on the steering wheel as well. Which is what it should do. It should let me do what I got to do.
Collaborative driving.
Collaborative. But going back, so Jim Farley said it isn't just to make it handle the curve, it's to handle the curve better than a human would. And I think that's a great goal.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, again, we want to, our primary mission here is to give people the most valuable asset back that we have, and that's time, right? And as we continue to work on improving the system over time, we're going to continue to try and give people as much hands-free, eyes-on, hands-free driving as possible to make the journey much less stressful, much more comfortable, much more exciting. I mean, that's the goal right now.
And even there, it's interesting because like, I did the lane change. I initiated it, let BlueCruise handle it. Oh, we just scooched over for the first time. Did you catch that, Liv?
The in-lane repositioning?
In-lane repositioning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I knew I wanted to do the lane change, but I still double-checked. And I think that's the way...
That's right.
Most people will handle it.
Yeah.
It isn't the car is driving itself. It's collaborative. I'm looking, making sure, it is doing it right.
Yep.
Even though the car...
You're still in control at all times.
Right.
But the car is going to work with you to make it a much more enjoyable experience.
Well, I just love the lane changes because
smooth, right?
It's
very
just smooth, yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't have to turn the blinker on fully. You just tap it.
Yeah, that's right.
The blinker stays on until the lane change completes. So it's doing better than BMW drivers that don't use blinkers. I'm really enjoying it.
We do encourage use of blinkers.
Yeah, and it's sort of funny, and because with 1.0 you have to use the blinker to disengage.
Sure.
Or you don't have to, but it works better if you use your blinker. I'll be honest, I use my blinker more now when I use BlueCruise than when I don't. And then now with the assisted lane changes, I'll use it all the time. So it's encouraging good behavior as well.
That's right, yeah.
Let's see what they're going to do here. And even though this isn't like Tesla where it's showing what that car is doing, it still knew that car was there. It's just not showing it like some of those other displays.
Yeah, I mean, it will show you, like, if you see the vehicle picture.
Once it's in the lane, yeah.
That's right. Once it's in the lane in front of you.
But it's definitely aware because, here's the lane disappearing.
This is exactly the use case I was describing. Yeah. Lane disappear again. Still in hands-free mode.
Yeah, no issue whatsoever. Because it's, for example, these, it knows, and as soon as it got anywhere close to being in my lane, it's like I got to tap the brakes because they're right there.
Yep, that maintains your preferable distance.
Right.
Exactly.
And doing the lane change assist, it knows before I hit the turn signal, like whether there's somebody there or not.
Yeah, sure, exactly. So the system is constantly monitoring the environment around the vehicle, and those sensors are looking to see if it's safe to make a lane change maneuver, and it's going to indicate to you if it is, and obviously it will make the move once it's safe.
Well, I know we're getting close to our exit. I got to say, this has been smoother than my 1.0. I can't wait to get it. It is coming out soon to the Mach-E.
What's your impression?
It's way smoother. I'm finding that even though I'm used to BlueCruise 1.0, this is next level, and it feels more comfortable. Like we're just having a conversation, the car, and I'm watching, babysitting the car, and I can only imagine Mach-E doing like 800-mile drive that we've done from Colorado to Vegas in one day. This would make it so I would get there way more refreshed.
Absolutely. I just talked to a customer who's an older gentleman and said, listen, like I could never do a road trip for 2.5 hours, without being completely exhausted by the end of it and probably being unsafe because of that exhaustion. And he said, because of BlueCruise, it has taken all the stress out of my driving, and I arrive refreshed, and I'm able to, take on the tasks that I had to take on. This gentleman was a business owner, and so he commonly drove, to and from, and so this is what we want, right? This is the goal of this technology.
And I find, for me personally, and I think this is human nature, when you're driving 300, 400 miles, you start to become focused on what is right in front of you, and when you first start out, that's a good thing. You're like focused on like just this, but then you sort of like zone out like some of the peripheral things that are happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I find that when I have BlueCruise on, I'm way more aware of my surroundings, what's going on. I can see the traffic up ahead. So it's that's one of the reasons I've become more refreshed or stay more refreshed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it's been an improvement, and I can't wait to get 1.3. So I'm excited.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for driving it with me.
All right.
Thanks for letting me be a part of your drive.
We appreciate the overview.